All right, let's take this further now and speak to SABC News Economics Editor, Tshepo Mongoai. Tshepo, thank you so much. Always a pleasure to speak to you. Let's talk about, what we just heard now. Economists are divided, and there's, of course, a lot of concern about how this economy is likely to perform, but a lot of people are asking, can we avert a recession?
Yeah, most economists are saying we're likely to sidestep recession, but with quite marginal growth that we're likely to record for 2023, around 0.6%. Because the issues have not gone away, they remain with us. But there were some green shoots that were emerging towards the last month of the year. But we know that prior to that, November, things were not looking that great. The demand side of the economy was not looking good. The supply side also, we've seen those logistical issues. Electricity, there's some improvement, but there are still serious challenges that we are still facing as an economy. And the concern is, of course, it means that when we're not growing, we're not able to address many of our problems that we are facing. But some silver lining in the whole thing. There's a study that IMF came up with last year, and they said that we're likely to overtake Nigeria as the biggest economy on the continent. We know Nigeria, they've got a slew of challenges that they are facing internally, emanating largely from their currency. And I think that will give us a leverage and an upper hand. With us, perhaps we could see our economy recording around 400 billion US dollars this year, and Nigeria will probably be below that. And even Egypt, they have a fair share of their challenges. So that will help us. But I think in terms of growing from where we are, of course, we've got size. We're the most industrialized. But growing from where we are and to accommodate our population, that's where the challenges are.
And of course, when you look at what the IMF is talking about as well, is how resilient the global economy has also been. But Tshepo, one thinks about also the fact that the impact that, the disruptions in the Suez Canal, for example, have had on the economy as well. And one also thinks about that particular impact. Are we likely to also see the impact of this as well, hitting not only the global markets, but the continent, possibly?
I think the first thing will be inflationary impact that it's already we are seeing with the petrol price increase that, and part of the drivers are, of course, the shipping challenges that we have experienced, and to a large extent because ships are taking a longer route in order to move goods and around the world. So and then we, of course, with petrol price going up, it's likely to result in inflation remaining elevated for much longer than many of us were already hoping that perhaps we could see inflation coming down. And interest rates following as well, coming down. And we know that the Reserve Bank has not made a very clear signal that perhaps we could be ending the rate tightening cycle, because they see this risk that are still lingering on, and they think probably still early to signal that we could cut perhaps later. They remain very firm on the handle that inflation is still a problem.
And a number of people hoping that, the petrol prices will start going down, because the minute we talk about an increase is certainly something that, just really gets a lot of people upset, and especially given the pressure that they find themselves under right now. But Tshepo, before I let you go, there's another story that we're looking ahead to this week, the budgets that will be tabled in various provinces. A lot of focus, of course, on what is happening provincially, but Gauteng people will want to know if some of these budgets, particularly from their end, is going to signal an end to e-tolls, given what we've seen between the minister and the premier.
Yeah, no, that has been in the topical issues. It's between SANRAL, National Treasury, as well as the provincial government in a way forward. And I think once and for all, the Gauteng province should actually tell us how they're going to raise this money and when are they going to pay it, so that we know that that e-toll is behind. National Treasury is not so optimistic about them being able to find ways and means to raise this money because there are currently other fiscal pressures that all provinces are facing because they need to find money elsewhere because they are not getting their full allocations and they need to prioritize. So adding that and the fact that they need to find money for the e-toll is going to be a tall order. They've said that they can raise money through alcohol and gambling and so forth, but I wonder if that will be enough.
And it's going to be a very interesting one because there's a lot of talk about whether or not this is going to happen, the financing of it, and even after you possibly scrap the e-toll system, how then does the province still maintain the roads and the infrastructure? Does it become the responsibility of the province? So it's going to be interesting what comes out of this one, and we'll monitor it through your eyes there. Thank you so much, Tshepo, for stopping by. That's my colleague there, SABC News Economics Editor, Tshepo Mongoai.